Let's see if I can get it. Okay, so what I want you to do is position it on a diagonal. And what you're going to do is you're going to draw life size. So if you want to measure, you can do that with your opposite hand. That is not cheating. So what I'm going to do is draw one section at a time. And I'm going to try really hard to draw it in proportion. So I'm working on this section here as it bends. And I have to talk because I have to explain it. But when you're doing this, you're probably going to want to be kind of quiet. I don't often say you have to be quiet in this class, but it's going to be difficult for you to focus, and you'll more than likely skip something if you don't. So you probably want to make sure that you're super, super quiet when you're doing this. Okay, so I'm going to go in, and you can see I kind of made a mistake there. It's like a little irregular on there, and just clean it up a little bit. But I don't want to, make it look super sketchy. There is a screw that's floating here in the middle here. And so I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to make the screw. That line does not exist, but since I can't pick up the pen, I'm going to draw it in anyway. Okay. And like I said, the reason I add that extra one is that if I start picking up the pen, then it normally gets really sketchy. Okay. So I'm going to go in here, and I can see some thickness here. So I'm going to draw that portion in. Super, super thin though, based on the angle. There's like a little button, like a little ellipse there. And then I got to go in and add this middle part here. So I'm really slowing down my pen. I have to really slow down my eye. I can trace back over lines. And if I trace over the lines, I want to make sure that I draw in everything and that I kind of go back over the lines so that it stays nice and clean. Because gesture line tends to be super, super clean. So you can see this is, even just this demo for me is taking a lot longer than it did when we did that first mannequin. So I will give you plenty of time for this. Okay, like I said, if you want to measure parts, like there's thickness here, there's a hole for a screw. This is a hidden hinge for like my old bathroom cabinet, always broke over and over and over again. So some of you probably have one of these in your bin here. Okay, now if your hand gets a cramp, it's okay to reposition because sometimes we hold these really, really hard. You'll find you have grooves on the paper. So if that ever happens, you can adjust your hand and then go back to where you left off to get yourself back in a comfortable position. This one I kind of made a little bit too crooked, so I can go back in there and fix it if I need to. Try to make sure you keep drawing at the same angle though, because if you move around the object, you will find that you're going to see multiple angles on it. Okay, I think I forgot to add some detail here. Okay, so how do I know if it's any good? The first thing is just the technique. Did I make it smooth and continuous? Did I not pick up the pen? Right? So if you do the technique, you want to make sure that it looks smooth and controlled. We're not sketching here. And I also want it in pen. Yes, and you can make yourself a little like really light, because the ballpoint pen's nice. It can be made like you can make light lines with it by barely pressing. That's okay. Another thing, how can I tell if it's any good? It's going to be about detail. Okay, did I skip any important details? Not really. Right? Based on the angle that I had, I think I included all the details. There's a few areas that it's a little off, right? But I'll just try to do a better job next time I have to draw an object. And then lastly is proportion. Now the cool thing about this is you guys can take your objects and in a way you can lay it on top of your artwork or put it side by side and you can compare. Is this the same width as this? It's a little smaller actually. You guys can probably see it there. I made it a little bit small. So maybe next time I want to pay more attention to proportion. I think the length is good though, right? And that comparison of how big this part is to this part is pretty good. So I'm going to give you about 10 minutes, right? So go ahead and open it up to a clean sheet of paper, right? It can be the back side of where you guys drew your symbols. You're going to set your object out. Grab out a ballpoint pen. If you don't have a ballpoint pen, I have some that you can borrow up here. No pencil. Put your pencils in your drawer. Okay? Once again, the reason for pencil is that you're going to get all caught up in trying to erase and fix mistakes. We'll fix it, but we'll go over it in pen. I would not use marker. You can, but I don't want you always fixing your objects. You need to challenge yourself. Okay? So grab yourself a ballpoint pen. I would probably say you can grab any ballpoint pen, any color, blue or black that you might have in your bag. I probably wouldn't use marker because it bleeds a lot into like the pages. And so if you have like a Flair pen or a Flair marker, you probably don't want to use it. This box is empty. That's okay. You guys are going to return them anyway and put them back in the box because I'm going to use them over and over again. So go ahead and take some time, nice and slow. Yes. Just get it to a place where it stops, and that's fine. Oh, okay. That's fine. Okay? So just take your time, nice and slow. Try to have some fun. I know it's not always fun.